Hey everybody, I'd like to talk about sinning today. How's everybody doing? Are you doing good? That's great. I'm a sinner. I have kind of a strange sense of humor. I'm kind of embarrassed by myself. But, yeah, it's hard for me to say that I'm a sinner. I don't like that word sin. I don't know if I necessarily believe in it totally, but I like looking at the divine truth, and the divine truth talks about sin. It's a word we're all familiar with. We know what it means. It's usually in relation to Christian theology, and I'm sure the Buddhists have a little bit of it with the karma and all that. Anyway, I want to talk to you about sinning. You know, I sin all the time by the definition of sin that I know. So today, right now, I'm at my volunteer job. I'm driving a truck. I go around town and I pick up food items that I return to a food bank, and we also deliver the food that I picked up from local businesses like the Chipotle restaurant, um, like a sandwich shop in town that has day old bread. I'm called a daily bread driver, and also a gas station with a bunch of food. So Starbucks and Caribou Coffee I also go to. So when I started out, it was pretty easy to not eat any of the food that I got. Now I know I have a problem with food addiction, so it's interesting that I got a volunteer job where I pick up food, day old food. Yeah, that's interesting. How did I attract that into my life? Well, I try not to eat it, and when I started out, I did for very good for about 2 months. I wouldn't eat any of the food that I picked up, but there was one time I was like, well, I'm so hungry, and I wasn't taking care of I wasn't like preparing foods well for myself. And I could have gone without eating. I could have, but I had a little bit. And I never told anybody. And I didn't feel good about it. I could have told the people that are giving me this opportunity to volunteer, but I didn't tell them. What I did do, which is kind of okay, is I made a donation in the amount of how much I ate. But the problem is that this is becoming a trend. So today, I started my job and I was like, God, please help me to not eat any of the food I get. Now, Starbucks, it gives you food in a little bag, and it's really easy to grab an old donut or an old croissant. They're all bagged up, all these little items. It's really easy to grab one and, you know, put it here in the little cabin and munch on it. So that's my first pickup, Starbucks. And I went there and I was like, I was already like, my monkey mind was churning how I'm gonna eat it and grab it in such a way that people don't see me doing it. So I was like figuring out, okay, so I just have to be. So what I'll do is I'll break, like, I to explain to you what I'm talking about. Um, I'm in this big van. It's separated. It looks like a van that you would steal children in. I don't know why that comes to mind. I'm not a children stealer, not yet anyway. Um, but there's this whole compartment in the back where you put boxes of food, and the back is not connected to the front, so I can't put something in the back. There's this area here that you can't get through, and so normally what I do is I put the bag of food in the back, but I suddenly don't know why I'm explaining this to you, but I'm gonna push ahead because I think it's important. So normally I get a donation and I put it in the back compartment, right? But with it's often like a big box of something. But with Starbucks, it's a little baggy, and they usually don't have very much. So what I do is I'll take it to the front, and I'll just make like it's not a big deal, you know. Like if someone were to come and ask me, "Hey, buddy, aren't you someone that picks up food for hungry people?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I would say, "Yeah." Well, what's this here? This bag here? I saw you walk into the front of your cabin with a bag. What are you doing with a bag? I'd say, well, it's just the easiest way for me to, I'll put it in the back later. I just didn't want to go and put it in the back now. Why are you asking me these questions? You know? But the truth is that I put that bag in the front because I want to grab an item out of it and eat it. And I want to eat it. It's an addiction. Um, but that's another thing is that I already have a ready answer prepared. In my head, I already have a ready answer prepared. Now, if the guy actually caught me eating something, here's another answer that I would have for him. I would say, oh, this thing that I'm eating, I already bought this. That's not part of what I have here. I'd tuck the bag conveniently away so they couldn't see it if they were to come and accost me. And I'd tuck it away. And of course, if they were to, open the van door and try and look for it, that would be an affront. And he would look crazy. And I'd try to embellish his craziness if he were to try to do that. So, I don't know if you're following along, the one person who's watching this, but I'm just trying to illustrate how I set up in my mind, like, how to get away with murder. I'm not a murderer. I'm joking, but, I'm using the expression. But, like, in this little way, this is an example of the thing that you do to hide your addiction. And I'm sure it's got to be the same with kids hiding their, use of pot, marijuana from their parents. I'm sure it's the same with kids smoking and they don't want their parents to know. Wives hiding their gambling addiction from their husbands. Um, you know, let's say you have a wife that's really fitness, big on fitness, and says, honey, you got to stop eating cheese because cheese has this in it and that in it, and that's why you're getting fat, honey. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you stop eating cheese. So the husband eats cheese, but he just eats it, after work. He goes to the place where he can get some cheese, and he puts it. There was a movie called I Want Someone to Eat Cheese With, I think. Anyway, so we're all incredible liars, is what I'm saying. And I think that I'm a pretty honest guy, but the fact is that I'm a hell of a liar. Um, so I went to Starbucks to finish the little story. They didn't have any donations today, so I couldn't get anything. Then I went to another place and picked up some bread. I wasn't gonna eat bread. That doesn't make it. You can't. I'm not at the level. I'm not that hungry where I need bread. What I need is some kind of sweet brownie or something. So got the bread. I went to another place. Got a bunch of food. There were chips in the box, and I looked at the chips longingly, and I thought, well, because it was frozen, I thought I have to wait like at least an hour for these chips, right, to get unfrozen. So I thought that I put that out of my mind, and I thought, I don't really want chips today, So I've got this whole attitude even where, I'm the king of my plantation here, and maybe I don't want the chips today. I'll have the cupcakes today. Um, then I went to the Caribou Coffee in town, and they have these little. They put their day or 2 day old you know, brownies, cookies, pastries, banana bread in these little tins that we provide to them with a top. Now, you can easily open the top, but you don't want to be caught doing that. So I got these tins, and then I went to the back. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was that in between this, I was listening to this Christian music, and I started crying. The lyrics of the song is, um, God of God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I surrender to your design. Even as I sing that, I'm tearing up, and um, I cried when I listened to that song. I cried a hearty bunch. I cried and cried, man. I cried like a baby. And I freaking love crying like a baby. I can't believe that for so long I've stopped myself from crying like a damn baby, like a damn child. Anyway, I was moved by that song. So so I'm gonna give you a timeline of the events. Was hoping to go to Starbucks so I can get something so I can eat that I could eat. Didn't find anything. Listened to a wonderful song, cried. Then I went to Caribou Coffee and and even though it's harder to grab something out of the little tins that we give these guys, I'm crafty enough to figure out a way to do it, and I have before. So I was in the back and I was fiddling around. I put the tins in the back compartment, and I thought, okay, maybe if I'm really quick, I can just grab something out of here and hide it, and then bring it to the front without anybody seeing. Hopefully. Anyway, then I heard a noise behind me as I was about to do that. I heard a car. So there was probably someone behind me in the parking lot. I was in a parking lot, and and I thought, well, if they see me, they might report me, and then I would lose this volunteer opportunity, and I would lose my. Well, I don't want to be mean to myself on that. I was gonna say I would lose my good face to the community. Um, I don't know. I honestly don't know how much of this job is my good face, is wanting to put on a good face, and how much of it is my addiction, and how much of it is just a desire to help people. Anyway, I the worst thing about losing this position would be that I would be very embarrassed, and I don't want to be embarrassed. So someone would report me, and I'd have to cop to, you know, eating food every now and again, and I might lie and say, it was just the one time. Anyway, so I didn't. All these little things, go through your mind in a split second. And so I didn't eat it because I didn't want anybody to see me eating it, or grabbing it and taking it to the front of the vehicle to eat while I'm on my trips. So I didn't. But on my next pickup, I got some donuts from this shop, and it was frozen. You can't eat frozen donuts. Frozen donuts don't taste good, I'm pretty sure. So I had this brownie. So what I did was I brought the donuts to the back, and during that time there weren't that many people in that parking lot, and I feel like I had a good lay of the land and the viewpoints, the vantage points from which people could see me. So I figured I'm in a safer spot. It'll be easier to it'll be harder for people to catch me, doing the wrong thing here. So I lifted the tin top. I grabbed a brownie. I I put it on these little sheets. I put it on the back of a sheet. The back of the sheet is yellow. Maybe I should show it to you. I don't think you'll be able to see it very well. I put it on the back of. Where is it? Here it is. I don't think you're going to be able to see this very well. I put it on the back of this little sheet. I'm saying that I put the brownie on the back of this little sheet. And I had the brownie placed on this sheet on the clipboard, and I brought it to the front. I thought, a brownie, it's dark. From a far distance, nobody can really see a brownie. So even if people see me, they're not going to notice the brownie. And I'm going to walk nonchalantly to the front of my vehicle, open the door, place the checkboard on the seat like I normally do, and nobody nobody will know that I've just eaten some food that should be reserved for somebody that's poor and hungry. So, so I did that. I proceeded to eat the brownie, and as I picked it up from the sheet, I noticed that this is what I wanted to show you. That the oil of the brownie fixed to the paper. And trust me, I'm far enough in my addiction that I don't give a shit about germs. I figured this out long ago. Like, I, I'll tell you another thing I did. Anyway, but to tell you about this, the oil of the brownie, stuck onto this part, and if you might not be able to see it, but there's a darker area of the sheet, and that's the area where the oil was. Now there's little pieces of brownie on it too, like little runoff pieces of brownie, and I. I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about how much time I'm actually taking to put this video up that probably nobody will watch. Um, anyway, whatever. I'm going to push on. Even if this is another addiction, to tell everybody how bad I am. Anyway. So what I actually did was the little pieces of runoff brownie on the sheet, I physically took the time to wipe them off the sheet. I've never told anyone about this stuff. Nobody who wants to listen to a guy talk about his food addiction for 20 minutes. Why would I tell anybody about this? But I think I finally believe that it's important enough now to talk about. So, because I know there's a lot of people out there that go through this thing. Anyway, what I was thinking was, if somebody sees these little pieces of runoff brownie, then they're gonna think, "Oh, I remember one time," because we give these sheets to some guy at the food bank that looks over it, I guess. So I'm so paranoid that I think he's gonna think that if I don't take these little brownie pieces off, he's gonna think, "Oh my God, here it is again." I remember a few years back, Joe something would eat brownies. He'd put it on these very sheets, and that's how we figured out that he was eating the food. So I thought, I don't want that to happen. I don't want anybody to figure me out. So I carefully took those little pieces of brownie off. And there's so much to say. Like, from wanting the food at Starbucks, from praying to God, can I get away from my addiction, to crying, to eating the food anyway from another place, and all the little quirks, or all the little ways in which I minimize my... Well, it's not so much it's not a minimizing of my addiction, although I probably do minimize my addiction. It's little ways in which I plan very craftily. I take the time and I plan how I'm going to get away with this so people don't see me. And all my life I've been getting away with this. When I was a kid, I would eat candy from a wrapper and I'd put it behind the dresser. I'd put it behind the dresser. I'd toss the little candy wrapper behind the dresser because I didn't want to toss it in the garbage because my mom would see it if it was in the garbage. I've never been so eloquent. I am so eloquent right now. I've never... It's hard for me often to get words out, but now I feel very eloquent because I'm being fucking honest. So, maybe that's going to help somebody out there. Maybe this is an addiction to tell you what's going on with me. But my main message is that we're all liars. It's not going to help you in your day, maybe, but maybe I should just say it for myself. I'm a liar. I'm a big old, fat old liar. So, if you were thinking that maybe you'd get some inspiration from this, and you're not, sorry. This is not really an inspirational message. It's a message of exposure. Bye.